This video is sponsored by Card Trader, a global marketplace where you can buy and sell TCG cards like the Pokemon trading card game. Please use my code POPNIGHT24 at checkout where you can get 5% off your first purchase. A link will be in the description below. Thank you again to Card Trader for sponsoring this video. Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be showcasing Mamoswine EX from the Journey Together expansion set. This is a second version that I wanted to experiment on, but I just gotta let you know there's actually a lot, and I mean a lot of possible variations to try out that combos really well with this Pokemon. And in my last video, I focused on its defense. But Mamoswine EX already has a lot of HP, so defensively, it actually manages to tank a lot of hits as it is. So in this build, I'm going to focus more on its offense instead. But just to review, Mamoswine EX has the ability Mammoth Hauler. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a Pokemon and put it into your hand. Again, this is a great way to search out your evolution Pokemon so that you can set up as much Stage 2 Pokemon as possible on your board. And by doing so, it will increase Mamoswine EX's attack damage even further. And its attack is Rumbling March. For 2 fighting energies, it deals 180 plus base damage. However, this attack also deals 40 more damage for each Stage 2 Pokemon on your bench. Normally though, we are limited to just 5 Pokemon on our bench. However, I will be utilizing Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. It has a great ability to nullify attack damage from any Pokemon with abilities on them, and it also has an unblockable attack. But not just that, it's also a Terra Pokemon, which means it will activate Area 0 under Depth Stadium. As long as you have Terra Pokemon in play, you can expand your bench to accommodate for up to 8 Pokemon instead of just 5. So now we can increase Mamoswine EX's attack even further if we can put more Stage 2 Pokemon in play. For my Stage 2 Pokemon in this build, we gotta have Pidgeot EX, which has the Quick Search ability so that we can just grab any one card from our deck. Next, I also have Annihilate, and I explained this in my last video why I have this in this deck. So if you haven't seen that, please do check that out. But this has an attack that can instantly knock out any Pokemon in the game. And in this build, there are actually 2 other ways to instantly set up Stage 2 Pokemon on your bench. One way is with this LUXRAY. It has the Swelling Flash ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your hand and you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, then you may put this Pokemon straight to your bench. So you don't even have to evolve into it, you just put it into play. And the other way is with this KLINKLANG. It has the Emergency Rotation ability. It's similar to LUXRAY's ability but with a slightly different requirement. Once during your turn, if your opponent has any Stage 2 Pokemon in play, you may put this Pokemon on your bench. Although it's a bit circumstantial because you do rely on your opponent's deck to have a Stage 2, it's still a good option to have in this deck. As for my spec card of choice, I'm still using Neo Upper Energy. This will give one of our Stage 2 Pokemon 2 energies of every type, and this can really help to quickly power up Mamoswine EX's attack. Again, Mamoswine EX has a really nice bulk to it, making it really difficult to knock out. But its attack is just very impressive. As long as you can set up your Stage 2s to increase its attack damage, you can pretty much one-hit knock out any Pokemon in the game. And I finally added all the other cards in this deck that I wish I had in my first build for more consistency. But still, with all the Pokemon crowding out the bulk of this build, I have to admit this can still be very inconsistent, and it can still lead you to dead draw in some cases. And if you compare this to basic or Stage 1 builds that can still attack to one-hit knock out anything, I would say that Mamoswine EX is still levels behind those competitive decks. But then again, if Dragapult EX or Charizard EX can be great, perhaps Mamoswine EX also has a chance to be great as well. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, that's pretty much it. You can find the complete deck list in the description below. Now please enjoy the following gameplay videos showcasing Mamoswine EX. Before we get into the video, I have a small request. If you're liking the content I create, please leave a like to this video and please support this channel by subscribing if you haven't already. This is a small click for you, but for me, it means a lot. Thank you so much for all of your support. Alright, on to our first match. We are going to start this one with a Swinub in the active spot. And since we are going first, our hand is actually pretty horrible in that we can't even set up any basic Pokemon to start. So hopefully we can draw into something really good. But let's see what we're going up against here. We're going against Terapagos EX. Alright. We drew into a KLINKLANG, but again, unfortunately, we couldn't even attach an energy or anything. So I hope my opponent doesn't knock me out here to win the game. But we do have an advantage against this matchup. Terapagos EX is weak against fighting, and I'm thinking probably we're not going to be able to use KLINKLANG because for the most part, Terapagos EX doesn't really use any Stage 2 Pokemon on their deck. But for now, they were able to set up a bunch of Hoots, Buffalon, and they managed to increase Terapagos EX's HP as well. So we survived a turn. Let's go ahead and use our Arvin, and we're gonna get Buddy Poffin. That way we can set up more basic Pokemon on our bench. But then again, I can always also use Rare Candy to evolve into Mamoswine, just get another Pokemon. But I think I'm gonna go with Buddy Poffin and then TM Evolution. Let me get Cleffa and Pidgey. Pidgeot EX is definitely a must in this build. We can evolve into Piloswine, then we're gonna draw into more cards with Cleffa. But with just one draw, it's not gonna be enough, so I'll have to sacrifice the TM Evolution and use Grasping Draw. So we drew into a Mankey, another basic Pokemon, and we can evolve into a Pidgeotto next turn. And also, of course, we can evolve into Mamoswine EX and start getting some more Pokemon from our deck. So if my opponent knocks out my Cleffa here, we can most definitely get Luxray and instantly put it into play, even though it is a stage 2 Pokemon. So with Crispin, my opponent manages to fully energize Terapagos EX, and they're gonna go for a knockout against our Cleffa, getting them their first prize. Let's go ahead and promote our Piloswine in the active, and we got a Luxray from our top deck. Let's go ahead and put this into play, activate its Swelling Flash ability. Now we have at least one stage 2, but I'm gonna go ahead and switch Pidgeotto in the active for now. I can always just retreat it, just in case. And okay, we got another Luxray. And I'm just gonna set up another Swinub. Unfortunately, we can't get our Neo Upper Energy until we evolve into a Pidgeot EX. So I'm just gonna retreat into Mamoswine, use Mammoth Hauler to get Pidgeot EX for next turn, and I'm just gonna end my turn. So basically, I'm just gonna try and tank a hit here from Terapagos EX. We will survive an attack for sure, but at 280 HP, and with Buffalant's ability to increase its defense by 60, well, it doesn't really matter because again, we are hitting for weakness. We can evolve into Noctowl with a Terra Pokemon in play. Jewel Seeker allows them to search their deck for up to 2 trainer cards. Okay, they're gonna get Crispin and Area Zero Underdepths to expand their bench. Actually, we should expand our bench too, but I think this is fine. This is fine. Again, we're hitting for weakness, so we don't necessarily need a lot of stage 2s in play to get a sure knockout against their Terapagos EX. They're gonna retreat into Fan Rotom. They probably did not want to sacrifice the Terapagos EX, but you know what? We can now evolve into Pidgeot EX. So we have Quick Search to search for anything, but for now, I'm gonna get another Mamoswine EX. We have Rare Candy. We can evolve into another one, and then we can slowly evolve our Mankey. So I'll get Primeape stage 1, and then now with Quick Search, we can get our Neo Upper Energy. When attached to a stage 2 Pokemon, it becomes 2 energies of every type, and we're dealing 250 damage to knock out their Fan Rotom, getting us our first prize. And we got Boss Orders. So we got a really good card from our prizes. Doesn't matter if my opponent retreats, we can always just boss this Terapagos EX or even that Latias EX, preventing them from retreating their basic Pokemon. So we have a lot of options here, and if we do become behind on price, we can always use Luxray to attack as well. We do have Reversal Energy in this deck to power up its attack. But again, my opponent will cower to put their Noctowl in the active spot. I'm gonna finish up evolving into Annihilate. So now we have 5 stage 2 Pokemon in play, guys. And I'm gonna slowly just energize my Mamoswine EX here. And we're just gonna knock out this Noctowl with Rumbling March, now dealing 350 damage. with a complete bench of Stage 2 Pokemon. So having the instant Stage 2 setup, especially with LUXRAY, it really does help. And again, unfortunately we can't use KLINKLANG. It is very specific to certain matchups, but either LUXRAY or KLINKLANG can be very useful to use in this Mamoswine EX build. So is there any way that my opponent can win against our Mamoswine? I mean, they can pick off some of our benched Pokemon. However, they're only taking one prize at a time when they knock out LUXRAY or even our Annihilate. But even against Pidgeot EX, I don't think they're dealing enough damage to knock it out. How much damage can Terapagos EX deal? That's the question. If they have a full bench. We're going to use Iono. But it doesn't really matter. As long as we have Pidgeot EX with a quick search ability, doesn't matter if my opponent tries to disrupt my hand. So they're going to attack with 210 damage against our Mamoswine EX. They can definitely 2-hit knock it out. But we'll be ready for another Mamoswine in place. So I'll just get another energy, prepare my other attacker, which is Annihilate, just in case. And we're just gonna knock out this Terapagos EX, dealing 700 damage to get us our next two prizes. Man, this Terapagos EX is weak. Again, because we do have an advantage, we are a fighting type, they're weak against fighting. And they're just gonna concede, alright. Good game. Alright, let's move on to our second match. Again, we're gonna start with a Swinub in the active spot. My opponent's gonna mulligan, and we're going against N's Zoroark EX. I did showcase that in my channel already, and so I have a little bit of a good understanding of how my opponent's build works. And I think we do have the advantage, because Mamoswine EX has a lot of HP, and for the most part, Zoroark really doesn't have a lot of attack options where it can deal significant damage against our Mamoswine. But I think the only way they can one-hit knock out our Pokemon is if we attack their Zoroark, leave it alive with enough damage, and then they can double that damage against our Pokemon by copying Reshiram's attack, its first attack. But I don't think my opponent can attack on their first turn going second, so Swinub being alone should be okay in the active. But they're also using Binding Mochi. Okay. So Binding Mochi, if the active is poisoned, they can increase their attack by 40 damage. So do they have Brute Bonnet to poison both active? No, they're using Janine's Secret Art. So if you use Janine's Secret Art and you accelerate a Dark Energy to your active Dark Pokemon, it will poison your active, thus increasing your attack with Binding Mochi attached. So they're just going to attack, dealing 20 damage to our Swinub, but now we can use our Ultra Ball. Since we're not using KLINKLANG in this matchup, I don't think, we can now evolve into our Mamoswine EX. Let's go ahead and use Mammoth Holler to get our Pidgey. Again, your Pidgeot EX lineup is very important, so you have to prioritize that. And I'm just going to use Professor's Research. We got an Ultra Ball. I could set up another basic Pokemon, I suppose. But nothing to help us increase our attack. We're only dealing 150 because of Squawkabilly's resistance. So what I'm going to do is just get a Swinub. At least I'll start to build up another lineup of Mamoswine EX, and I'm just going to attack. So Rumbling March, again, only deals 150 because of that resistance. 10 damage away from knocking out Squawkabilly EX. Now with the Ultra Ball, my opponent's gonna get Zoroark EX. They will evolve, and they're gonna use Iono. Okay, we got a rare candy. So what I can do next turn is just use Mammoth Holler to get Pidgeot EX. We can evolve, and then that will also increase our attack damage output. So now that my opponent's Zoroark EX is fully energized, they can copy any of their Ends Pokemon's attacks. Okay, they're gonna grab another Pokemon. Ends Darmanitan with the Ultra Ball. They're gonna use Night Joker attack to copy Darmanitan's attack. So they're gonna deal 90 damage to Mamoswine EX and knocking out our Pidgey, which is a pretty good move actually. But that does put us behind on prices. So we can actually activate LUXRAY's Swelling Flash ability. We have another Pidgey to replace the one that they knocked out. And then we're gonna use Mammoth Hauler to get let's see here. I can't evolve into Pidgeot EX. I could get another Luxray, but that's only gonna increase it up to 260 damage. So still not quite enough to knock out Zoroark. So what I'm gonna do is just, I think, attack with Luxray. I have Reversal Energy, so Wild Charge deals 180 damage to their Zoroark. But we do receive 20 recoil damage. So at least with this one, even if they knock out my active, they're only getting one prize. Let's see what my opponent does here. He can use Professor Turo to remove Squawkabilly EX from play, which is, I guess it's a pretty good move that will remove liability. An easy 2 prize for us, especially it only has 10 HP remaining. So I don't know what my opponent's gonna do here. Gonna use Night Joker to copy one of their attacks, and they're gonna knock out our second Pidgey, but not quite enough to knock out our Luxray. So at least we can knock out their Zoroark with Luxray actually. And for the meantime, I'm just gonna slowly evolve my Piloswine, and I'm just gonna knock out their Zoroark with my Luxray. We're not quite knocked out yet, even with that recoil damage, so we should be fine. We are even in price trade now, so that deactivates the reversal energy. So it only counts as one colorless energy at this point. But with no backup attacker, my opponent has to reestablish their Zoroark EX once again. So they have 2 Ents Zorua on their bench. And even with their Manitan, they can only attack with it if they have reversal energy, if ever. But since, again, we are equal in price, reversal energy is not gonna work. So they're gonna go for TM Evolution, evolving into 2 Ents Zoroark EX. Can evolve into another Mamoswine. And we have Neo Opera Energy to even help us energize our attack. Let me go ahead and use Arven to get Buddy Buddy Poffin and TM Evolution. Get Luxray. And then I can sacrifice one more Pokemon, I suppose. Because I can't attack with Luxray in the active right now. And then I'll set up Mankey and another Swinub on my bench. I'm gonna retreat into Mamoswine EX. I still have Mammoth Hauler here. Let me get Piloswine. And then I'm just gonna attack. Rumbling March, we're dealing 260 damage right now. We got one prize, we got Cleffa, alright. If only we can recover our Pidgeys. I would like to evolve into Pidgeot EX. But we don't have the means to search for our Super Rod. So we're stuck with what we have right now. So with no Reshiram in play though, there's really not a lot of attacks they can use to knock out our Mamoswine EX. Again, its high HP is just very valuable when it comes to its design, making Mamoswine EX really good as well. But here comes Ents Reshiram to to help out with the attack options, I guess. They're gonna use Counter Catcher to trap our Mamoswine EX in the active, but unbeknownst to them, we also have Neo Opera Energy to power up its attack, so we can just continue to attack with our Mamoswine EX. They're gonna use Janine's Secret Art to again energize their Pokemon, but they didn't have another energy to attach to their Zoroark. So let's go ahead and grab Annihilate. Can evolve this, and then evolve into Piloswine. Use Neo Opera Energy, and we're dealing 300 damage with Rumbling March to one-hit knockout their Ends Zoroark EX. Yeah, I mean, the slow setup is what draws Mamoswine EX builds back, but I mean, the instant Stage-2's does help a little bit. I think LUXRAY is the most valuable when it comes to, I mean, comparing it to the additional of KLINKLANG, but I mean, it really varies depending on what matchup you're going up against, because there are a lot of tier 1 or S tier matchup that uses Stage-2, so Charizard EX and also Dragapult EX. So KLINKLANG can be useful too, but again, it's just very build specific. So they're gonna attack with Zoroark EX, again copying their Manitan, knocking out our Luxray, but you know what? We have a switch, and can evolve into another Mamoswine to increase our damage output, I suppose. But let me just get Mankey. I can just get another one anyways with this other Mammoth Hauler, and we can even use a third Mammoth Hauler. How about that? But we're dealing enough damage. We only want one prize anyways, so we're just gonna take out Zoroark EX to win us the game. There it is, guys. Good game. On to our final match. Again, we will start with a Swinub in the active, but this time we also have Pidgey on our bench. And we have Rare Candy, and we can evolve into Pidgeot EX right away, which is really good. So let's go ahead and use our Buddy Poffin. I'm going to set up another Swinub and a Pidgey, just in case my opponent can attack on their first turn going second, and they target our Pidgey, we'll have a backup. So my opponent will start with the Latias EX in their active, giving all their basic Pokemon with no retreat cost, and they also have Relicanth, so they have the means to copy the attacks of their Pokemon's pre-evolution stages. And with the Artisan, they set up Totodile, so we're going against Feraligatr, a very strong single prize Pokemon. But it is a stage 2, so we might actually be able to showcase KLINKLANG in this matchup, finally. I know KLINKLANG is a very match-specific, but it can be very useful. We're gonna set up 2 more Totodiles and a 4th one. Wow, they filled up their bench with a lot of Totodiles. I honestly don't think you need that much to set up, but okay. You're gonna attach an energy to Luxray EX with the TM evolution attached, and they're just gonna evolve up to 2 of their benched Pokemon. Alright, they're gonna evolve into 2 Croconaws. Very nice. And we got Buddy Poffin. Let's actually start by evolving into Pidgeot EX first. That way we can use its quick search ability. We can search for anything from our deck. So let's go ahead and search for Mamoswine. Or actually, no, I should have grabbed a Rare Candy. Alright, that was a big mistake, but at least we can set up a Mankey thanks to my opponent's Artisan. And I'll leave one space open, I think, for Ogerpon. I'm just gonna have my turn, that's fine. That way, if they knock out my Swinub, we can also set up our Luxray. Because if we are behind on prizes, we can activate its ability. But my opponent is actually using Grand Tree as well. So, you know what? We can actually take advantage of this stadium and evolve into our stage 2 Mamoswine EX. Okay. We're gonna use Iono. So one thing about Grand Tree is that you can only evolve a basic Pokemon straight to Stage 2. You can't evolve an already Stage 1 Pokemon on your board. So that's one thing that other players miss, which I am guilty of as well. Misunderstanding the wordings, or the description of the card. So Grand Tree only works to evolve your Pokemon from basic into Stage 1 and then into Stage 2. So if your opponent is already at Stage 1, you can't use Grand Tree to evolve your Pokemon to Stage 2. So they're gonna retreat into Totodile. Looks like they're gonna use Big Bite to just trap our Swinub in the active spot. We cannot retreat. We got Pidgeotto. Start evolving into another Pidgeot EX, and then we're gonna use Grand Tree to fully evolve into our Mamoswine EX. Thankfully, my opponent used Iono, so we actually got a pretty good hand here. And I'm gonna use Quick Search to let me actually get Area 0 Under Depths, or Neo Opera Energy, I think. That way we can start attacking, and then we can put Ogerpon in play. Get another Pokemon with Mammoth Holler to evolve into Stage 1. And then I'm just gonna attack with Rumbling March, more than enough to knock out their Totodile to get our first prize. So at this rate, I mean, we're not gonna be able to use Luxray because you need to be behind on prizes for you to activate Luxray's ability, but I'm counting on this Stage 2 setup so that we can also showcase our KLINKLANG. So at least you have those two options, right? Luxray is a little bit easier to use, especially if you're behind on prizes. So there are ways that you can manipulate the price trade. So Luxray, I think, is a lot easier to use than KLINKLANG. But KLINKLANG is also an option if you need another Pokemon to instantly set up if you need a lot of Stage 2 on your board. So now my opponent has Feraligatr fully evolved. They're gonna take out Grand Tree with the Beach Court. And the cape actually will net us another prize if we knock out this Feraligatr. It's adding HP, but you know what? We have the potential to one-hit knock out anything in the game right now. They're going to counter catcher a Pidgeot EX. Most likely they're just gonna Big Bite to trap it in the active, but we also have a lot of switching options, or a few switching options in this build, so I think we should be fine. No, they're gonna use Reverse Thrust to deal 150, and they're gonna retreat to one of their benched Pokemon. Okay, they're gonna sacrifice their Totodile. Now it is our turn, and I mean, I can just easily retreat my Pidgeot EX. Let me go ahead and use Mammoth Holler first. I'll get Pidgeot EX to evolve, so now we have our third Stage 2 Pokemon. Then we can use Quick Search to get Neo Upper Energy. Now we can expand our bench thanks to our Terra Ogerpon. And then I can I can attach an energy to Swinub. I'm gonna use Professor's Research. We can evolve into Piloswine. And then I'm just gonna retreat. I'm just gonna take another knockout here. So next turn, we can use Mamoswine EX to get our KLINKLANGs to spread out on our bench and be able to deal more damage. So I guess my only purpose for this matchup is to showcase the huge attack damage output once we set up our Stage 2 KLINKLANG. So at least, you know, we're able to showcase KLINKLANG as well, not just Luxray, but I guess deciding which one to put on your deck, most likely LUXRAY is the most useful. So let's see what my opponent does. Again, Mamoswine EX just has a lot of HP. There's really... they don't have an attack that can just one-hit knockout our Mamoswine EX. So they're gonna go for Reverse Thrust. Again, dealing 150 damage, retreating into Mimikyu. But you know what? We have a counter to their Mimikyu. That's why having your Annihilate in the deck is very important as well. It only requires one fighting energy to attack. At least with its first attack, right? So, I'm gonna go ahead and use Mammoth Hauler to get KLINKLANG finally. And most likely, I'll just attack with Annihilate, I think. So I'll switch it into the active. It will get confused, but I think that's okay, because we can just take out this Mimikyu, and then I'll get another Mankey. Just in case my opponent has more Mimikyus available to them, I'm just going to use Tantrum to knock out their Mimikyu, getting us another prize. And we got a rare candy. Nice. So we have KLINKLANG, one KLINKLANG available to us. To be honest though, we don't really need it, but again, my only purpose is to just maximize my damage output as much as possible and see how much we can deal against our opponent's Feraligatr. Our opponent's odds are not really good though, because they are dead drawing at this point. With Arven, they got an item and a tool card, but that's it. And they don't have any other way to draw into more cards. So I'm not sure how my opponent's gonna get through this one. But again, they're gonna use Torrential Heart to increase their damage output, but that puts 5 damage counters to their Feraligatr. And with that damage available, they can use Monkey Dory. The Adrena Brain ability can transfer up to 3 damage counters from one of their Pokemon to ours. And slowly but surely, I think they're just gonna either take out our Pidgeot EX or our Mamoswine EX, but it doesn't matter. We have a lot of backup. And once again, they're gonna use Reverse Thrust, but this time the damage output is enough to knock out our Annihilate, because Annihilate only has 140 HP. But they're gonna retreat into Latias EX, thinking that they can possibly tank a hit, but I doubt it, because we have KLINKLANG. So we have emergency rotation ability available or easily activated because they have Feraligatr in play. We can even set up 2 KLINKLANGs, and with the Mammoth Hauler, I can get another Annihilate. We have rare candy. And look at this, guys. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Stage 2 Pokemon in play. And with a quick search, I think I'm just going to get a Fighting Energy to start energizing Annihilate. And Rumbling March deals 390 damage to knock out their Latias EX. Unfortunately, I can't play LUXRAY because we're not behind on prizes. So, you know, I guess this deck can improve even more, because with KLINKLANG and LUXRAY, it's either or. You can use either one of them depending on the matchup. But I mean, if you have more KLINKLANGs than LUXRAY or more LUXRAY than KLINKLANG, it's really up to you depending on the, I guess, the meta. What are players using? Is it all Stage 2? Or are you easily behind on prizes? You might as well use LUXRAY. But I think we have executed a very difficult, I don't want to say difficult, but this is a very nice setup. 6 Stage-2's in play, and we're dealing almost 400 damage. That's insane. That's not bad. Actually, it is more than 400 because Latias EX is resistant to fighting. So 390, even in that state, is actually pretty good. Finally though, my opponent's Feraligatr knocks out one of our Mamoswine EX. It took a lot of effort though, but our huge HP does make a big difference. And again, this is why I like having Annihilate in this deck. We have a single price attacker. So I'm just going to take out Mimikyu for the last time with Tantrum, getting us our last prize to win us the game. There you have it guys, good game. And that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching the Popsicleknight channel, and until next time, please stay safe and have a great day.